What's up, guys? I hope everybody had a fantastic Easter weekend, and welcome to a review of a film that I watch at this time every year, or at least try to, and I've been succeeding the last few years for sure, and that is The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson, released in 2004, which is known for causing quite a bit of controversy for quite a few reasons. The director Mel Gibson alone is already slight controversy enough when it comes to certain views and certain decisions made by the director and certain things said by the director, and just overall in general on the politics of his character and whatnot. But the film itself, talking about it, you're dealing with the last 12 hours of Jesus Christ's life, and this is a brutal film with a lot of gore in it, which is funny because I remember the time when it was released, and I was 15 or so, something like that. A lot of my friends wanted to go see this film for the gore, and they even admitted that they're like, I really want to see the Passion of the Christ just to check out the gore and stuff. And I'm like, you're dealing with a biblical story, you know this, right? It's a pretty how do you say it? Serious matter, and I'm not sure exactly what the term to use, but sensitive. There you go, sensitive and touchy. Like, you're dealing with a sensitive and touchy subject, and you're gonna go see The Passion of the Christ because you want to see how much gore there is, and there is a lot, of course. But yeah, it's. And I remember too watching this in the theaters with my dad, because my dad took me to see it. And the theater was pretty empty. There was two other people and me and my dad, and that was it. I liked it when I watched it as a teen, and it's always resonated with me. I was raised and brought up as a Roman Catholic. Don't really practice it today. I'm not the most religious person in the world. Of course, I have my faith, and I have the respect for all religions, including the one that I was brought up in, and I still consider myself a Roman Catholic. I know my prayers. I know I couldn't read a rosary. I'd have to follow along with somebody. I don't really go to church other than Christmas and certain special occasions, but regardless, I still hold this kind of story and this kind of film and this kind of theological plot, you could say, and this kind of film in high regards for what it is. I have a lot of respect for the Roman Catholic faith and, like I said, religion in general. So I think this is a really, really well done piece of cinema by Mel Gibson, and I have absolutely no problems with this one. I forget if I gave it a 4 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5. I gotta check back, but on Letterboxd, I mean. But I gotta check back because after this viewing, it probably is a 4 out of 5 for me. I would think, but yeah. Basically, the film, spoilers here on afterward. This is gonna be a spoiler review anyway, but you start in the Olive Garden where I think it's Peter or Judas comes in. Peter is the one who betrays Jesus' name 3 times, and then Judas is the one who basically rats Jesus out to the kingdom or whatnot, and is given a bunch of currency to rat Jesus out, and he does. And then there's the whole scene where he's trying to give the money back, and he's like, I don't even care about it anymore. And the way he rubs his face with the money and just throws it back at them and feels such tremendous guilt. Is really well done in the way they portrayed it and everything. Again, I haven't read the Bible or anything like that, so I don't know the exact word for word situations and the things that were said and how things played out and how accurate it is. I'm assuming it's 100% accurate to the way it's written in the Bible, but I couldn't even watching the movie, I'm following along, but it's kind of it's not a subject matter that I'm super familiar with 100% kind of thing. But yeah, they do portray, the betrayal of, or the ratting out of Jesus by Judas and the betrayal of Jesus from Peter really well. There's this great scene where this one guy gets his ear cut off from Peter, and Jesus tells him to like put the sword down because he says something along the lines of "Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword," paraphrasing. And then Jesus heals the guy's ear and everything, and they really filmed it really well. The way they put it together and the way it was directed and filmed and the practical effects on it was really good. When it came to torches, they used a bunch of torches and it didn't look like real fire whatsoever. Now, if it is, then my mistake, but it definitely looked CGI. And if it was CGI, I just wonder why they used CGI. Like, was it too dangerous to use actual torches with actual fire? I wasn't sure on that one. It really looked like CGI fire, and like digital fire, and I found that strange. Again, if it's real fire and it just looked digital, it is what it is. But it definitely looked like CGI fire on the torches, and I just found that kind of little odd. But it is what it is. The acting from everybody is fantastic. Monica Bellucci plays a great Mary Magdalene. There's lots of great flashback scenes in this film, including Mary Magdalene's, where Jesus claims that he who has never committed sin shall drop or shall throw the first stone, and then everybody starts dropping their stones. A great flashback with Mary, Jesus' mother, where he's putting together a table because Jesus was a carpenter, and it's just a really touching scene between like mom and son where he hasn't built the chairs yet and she like sits in like an invisible chair and then he sits in an invisible chair and they just goof around like that, and it's a flashback in the midst of him being prosecuted and after being beaten quite a bit. So really touching stuff like that. I really the hardest scene probably, or most emotionally impactful scene, of course this whole film is emotionally impactful because you have a guy, beaten to death for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. But one scene that really got me is when Mary is cleaning the blood off of the ground after they finish whipping Jesus with whips and cat and nine tails and really, really graphic ways. I mean, that one scene with the cat and nine tails where they catch the side of his body and like chunks of skin and flesh is ripped right off of him, and they show that in graphic detail. And then when he's led away, and then you have Mary coming in with a bunch of rags and just scrubbing her son's blood off the floor. It's so inhumane and so like there is a word for it, I'm blanking on it, but it's so like dehumanizing kind of thing. It's just so brutally vicious and raw, and the emotions from the actress who plays Mary, I do forget her name, but and Mary Magdalene is there too at the same time, played by Monica Bellucci, who does great. I know her from other films, like films that are definitely not religious or faithful, you could say. But in this one, playing the character that she does a really good job, and so does the actress who plays Mary. I should have looked it up before this review, but the actress who plays Mary, does an extremely good job. A lot of people are also mixed on the portrayal of the devil in this film. That also caused, I remember, a lot of controversy because it wasn't relevant to the Bible story at all. So that was put in by Mel Gibson himself. And the way it was done, I love. I love how the devil is like always around and trying to bring, not bring Jesus down, but like kind of manipulate, and that's the wrong word too, like frighten Jesus, like give Jesus doubts, and the devil is always there to give Jesus doubts, even though Jesus has, absolutely no doubts whatsoever, and like the biggest faith in the world because he knows he's the Son of God. And even with the witnesses around him, because it's not like Jesus was claiming that he can perform miracles, but by mouth, he actually showed what he could do. But the kingdom and the kingdom's people claimed that he was having the help of devils and stuff like that, and just evilness and witchery, you could say. So, but but the portrayal of the devil, and played by a woman, which I again thought that's a great choice. It's a woman playing a male devil, with a shaved head and everything, and she brought the character to life. It was awesome. Very very much looked like a man. And I liked the serpent, the way they would use serpents and snakes and stuff like that and film them, and the cinematography is gorgeous in this film. If you can handle outside of the brutality of it, the way scenes are shot is great. There's this scene closer to the beginning of the film where Jesus is dropped off a cliff, hanging by chains, and you can see the pain and suffering on him. And I think it was Judas, if I'm not mistaken, who they make eye contact, and not a word is said, but then he's lifted up again. And at that moment, Jesus knows that it was Judas that ratted him out, kind of thing. But that whole scene was really really remarkable. I love the demon-looking kids that lead Judas to commit suicide or by hanging himself on a tree, and he notices that dead camel, which is disgusting, and that kind of just takes his sanity like completely out of his head, and he just does what he has to do. But those kids, man, those kids are like straight children of the corn, man. Oh my god, they're chasing him down the desert, and I can only imagine like wanting to just slap the shit out of all of them. But man, oh man, it just I liked the whole demonic faces that Mel Gibson decided to put on the kids, and how that went about, kind of thing. Like when it came to that kind of direction. So I did enjoy that. I find it hilarious that given the choice, like the people in the crowd, they ask them who should be released, Jesus of Nazareth or Barabbas, and Barabbas is a murderer, but they decide to free Barabbas even though he is a murderer. But the guy who claims to be the Messiah and the Son of God shall be killed because he's a blasphemous whatever. But that's your Bible story. That's you know, choosing to die at the cross because you're the Son of God. Everybody's going to think you're crazy, and very relevant to a lot of things that happen in today's society and world. So can't argue with that one. When somebody's determined and somebody knows exactly who they are and exactly where they're going, that is pretty much exactly what faith is. There is a scene after Jesus is on the cross. He's on the floor. The cross is he's facing up, and he's being nailed to the cross, and then they flip it. Now, when they flip the crucifix, it seems like Jesus is going to slam face down and chest down onto the ground. But what happens is it falls, and Jesus is kind of suspended, nailed to the crucifix, but he's not touching the ground. Now, the logic in that doesn't make much sense unless Jesus is performing another miracle. Now, excuse me. Now, according to the Bible story, I don't remember that ever being mentioned, where the cross was suspended off the ground by some force. So I don't know, I don't know what the intention of that was, whether it was a movie mistake or just like a plot hole, or what was going on, because it seemed like Jesus was gonna go head first into the ground, but he didn't, and I didn't know if they were trying to say that that's again a miracle Jesus is performing, or what they were going for. But it just, with everybody's reactions around, nobody looked at it as if it was like some miracle. It just seemed like the crucifix was, I don't know, hit a rock or something, but they didn't show it hitting a rock. It was just kind of a strange thing. But and it's not even a nitpick. It's just something I noticed, and I keep noticing with every watch. And I'm like, what's going on here? I really am not understanding what the deliverance of the scene is supposed to be, kind of thing. Like I didn't get it. But and then you have, I really like the ending of this film where he resurrects himself and he walks out and the camera angle shows his hand and you got the hole like right through his hand and you can see through like the hole, and he walks off, and it's really well shot. It's a great final scene to the Passion of the Christ. Now, when it comes to the big thing that I always say when it comes to this film, if I'm recommending it to anybody or if I'm talking about it to anybody, it's really gonna depend what you're going into this film for. Like if you're not Roman Catholic, if you're atheist or agnostic, then this film is like an hour and a half of a man being tortured to death. If you're Roman Catholic or if you're Christian and you are a religious person, then it's an accurate portrayal of the final moments of Jesus Christ's life. And I actually just heard today when I was looking up some research on Google that Mel Gibson apparently is in the works of making a sequel, The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, I think it's called. And I'm surprised that he took so long, like it's almost 20 years now, to make it, but that sounds pretty interesting. That sounds, apparently it's going to be the 3 days after he was resurrected, and I'd be intrigued. But like I said, this is a hard one to recommend to different people because it would have to be, you would have to know what you're going into. Like I said, if you are Roman Catholic, then it's a very accurate portrayal of the final moments of Jesus' life, and then if you're not, basically it's just like a torture movie. Really, like there wouldn't be much to it. Do you want to see a guy you know, get, you know, how do you say it, dragged through the dirt? That's an understatement. And brutally and viciously, you know, beaten for a long time. It's pretty much what it would be. So you have to definitely know what audience you are going in. And I know a lot of people who just can't stomach it. Like, I mean, my grandmother, very, very religious Roman Catholic woman, just can't watch the movie because it's too traumatizing and disturbing for her and her faith. So basically just know who you are going in. But in my opinion, aside from the whole story and the whole aside from the whole story and subject matter that I am definitely familiar with, because as I mentioned from my upbringing, it is a really, really well done piece of cinema, and I would recommend it to anybody, again, as long as you know what you're getting into. But if you're a film fan and you like to experience a really well put together and structured and shot film, then The Passion of the Christ is something that I would definitely recommend. Absolutely. And it looked great on Blu-ray. So I think the heart behind it was definitely there, and Mel Gibson, you know, has his vision and wanted to take on this project and did a really good job. And Jim Caviezel, a name that I hear here and there, but I couldn't tell you if I've ever seen a film with Jim Caviezel in it other than this one. And if I have, I just never knew he was in it. So I think he's one of those actors that is kind of like a chameleon who always looks different in different roles and likes to do different things. But yeah, like I said, I would definitely have to like really look into his filmography and see other projects that he's taken on. But yeah, he did a phenomenal job as playing Jesus Christ. So I really like this film, and it's one that I like to watch every Easter or Good Friday or whatnot. So thought, what better time to review it? You know, we just finished Easter weekend, so there you go, guys. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews, and I'll be back with more, so stay tuned if you're interested. Until next review, I will be back. Take care, have a good one, and cheers.